And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from the Girls of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling, doing a very quick session today. I've already done one on the Men of High Value channel. But I was kind of thinking you guys were feeling left out since I didn't make a video yesterday. So we'll just do a quick Q&A of some of the questions that I received from one of our subscribers. And if you have any questions, please comment on this video. I'll answer questions here, or comment elsewhere. Right? You can also DM me on @men-of-high-value on Instagram, and follow us on Three Girls in Love @Three Girls in Love on Instagram as well, because there's a lot of cool stuff there about Three Girls in Love, responsible polygyny. But if you want to DM me, you can ask me direct questions that way. So no problem. So I've gotten a lot of questions, and I was thinking, let's answer them on a live stream. And I won't do all of them. Some of them are a bit more sensitive. Some of them are like really, they're great, but I think it's better and easier to answer them one-on-one. That's why it's important to send me messages directly if you want that. But anyway, one of the questions were, what are your religious views at the moment and your views on God? That's a great question. First, you got to understand my perspective in terms of what I believe about the about God in general. Like, who is He? What is He? Is He a He? What's the purpose of life? I mean, this is a huge video in itself. So I'm not going to go through all of my religious views, but they're very specific. But what I can say is that I believe God is a man. I believe that He is a father. I believe that He's our Father, and I believe that He desires for us to become like He is. I believe massively in the statement that God is God was once a man, and just like He was just a man, we have the potential to become like God. So I'm not saying that we will ever be equal to God. That's not really the picture, but understand how it works. Like, it's when you see life and nature, from a simple to understand picture. Like, it's religion and nature and how the world works is so perfectly designed that when you simply look at it, you will understand God. Right? And the most precious thing that we have in our lives is family. Right? So if we know that the greatest joy that I can have as a man is for me to become a father, and for me to have a family, and for me to raise those children in a way that they become just as successful or hopefully more successful than me, that's the nature of God. And it's so simple, even a child can understand it. So those are very simply my religious beliefs. I was also asked why you left your church, because I guess I mentioned that in one of my videos. Very simply put, the more I understood about female nature, the more I understood about women, the more I understood that they're not accountable. Okay? Women are emotional creatures way more so than men, which is a fantastic thing when you understand it. It basically, my views on women is very different than what everyone else's views on women are, because men very often blame women. It's the natural way for feminine men to do. Like, that's a feminine man doing that. When he blames, he doesn't understand the woman. I don't blame women because I understand what's going on. I understand what's happening in their psyche. I understand a little bit more about what their environment has created if they open their mouth and speak to me. I know what's going on. And some of you might say, well, how can you know what's going on? You don't know what's going on, and I have my own my own head and my own thoughts, and you can't tell my thoughts. Well, it's the same way God understands us, and the same way that He's understood history, because of case studies, because of numbers. All right? If you see this many people having this background and they're saying those things, then because of numbers game, because of the case studies, because of the thousands of people you've spoken to, and the tens of thousands of case studies you've done online researching, you begin to understand the picture about a person. You begin to understand who they are, what their background is, and what they struggled with in order for them to say what they've said. Okay, that's why I understand what's going on in your psyche as a woman. So that's why I also say that female nature is a male science. Why do I say that? It's because men have boxes in their brains, in the sense that they can they can categorize and label things in a way that women are not able to do. And I'm talking about they label things and they categorize things, of course, but because of their intense emotions, it's basically ends up becoming wires in their brains. This is just a fun allegory. I'm not believing that there's boxes in men's brains or wires in women's, but just the makeup of the brain, in the sense that how they function. When one wire in a woman's brain becomes fused, or it becomes intense, it triggers all of the wires all at the same time. And that's the only thing she can focus on, and she's not able to not care. Right? If you're getting pissed because of watching some of my videos, it's because you're not able to not care about what I'm saying. The only way to get out of that is to either continue listening until you understand why I say what I say, or simply to, stop watching the video because you're putting yourself in an environment where you're being rejected. That can be a good thing, that can be a bad thing. To be in this environment watching my videos, I think it's a fantastic thing. And if you're being rejected or offended or whatever it is, keep watching, keep listening, because you'll eventually understand why I say what I say. If you don't ask questions, you'll never understand what I'm truly saying and why I'm saying what I'm saying after tens of thousands of case studies of studying women. This is my life. This is what I do. This is my expertise. And yeah, I'm not perfect, right? And definitely not perfect at public speaking, but I'm practicing. That's why I'm do live streams all the time. And I'm learning how to communicate to women about women, because they don't feel that I have the right as a man to share my views on it. But when a woman is very emotional, then it's difficult for her to pick up what's happening to herself, right? Because it's like the more emotional you are, the more you're in your emotions, right? It's happening to you. And the more you're there, the less you're able to put your brain outside of your brain and look at your life and look at your emotions from a bird perspective and see, why am I doing this? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, men have that ability, the more masculine they become, to simply put themselves out of their heads, put themselves out of their emotions. Most men never do this. But a few men who are developing their masculinity are able to be emotionally consistent in such a way that if something happens to them and affects their emotions, they're able to get the bird view out and then increase their response time and reaction time. Right? If you're offended as a woman, your reaction time is zilch. There's no reaction time very often. You'll be offended immediately and your emotions will be in hyperdrive. And because of that, you're going to react immediately very often because you're a now creature. Now, you might be able to contain it, but then when you leave that environment, it's exponential growth and you basically get pissed at everything and everyone. Anyway, I could go on and on about the female psyche, but that's why I left my church. It's because they don't understand the woman, and they believe that women are accountable and that women need to be baptized, and they believe that women have are just as responsible as men are. They don't understand that women are naturally good. Women are naturally good when they're allowed to remain in their unburdened state. When boys are in their feminine state as children, they're also naturally good, unless they're put in an environment where they're burdened and they've got issues because of their environment. But if they're in the right environment, all kids are not accountable, obviously, and they're also all good. But what happens? Boys develop testosterone and sperm production, which makes them more and more neutral, more and more indifferent, more and more not caring. That's the goal, for men to develop the ability to not care. But how can you say that? I told this to one of my religious friends the other day. I was like, we're discussing women's agency, and he was saying, well, God is not able to not care, right? And I'm like, I mean, if he wanted to, he could not care, right? But he has the choice to not care, and he has the choice to care. And sometimes he has to choose to not care in order for his purposes to be accomplished, right? If he wants to accomplish this long-term perspective, he has to allow people's free agency. He has to allow people to do whatever it is that they want until they figure out how things work, right? Because if he wouldn't allow us, if he cared about every single stupid thing that people are doing, then he would intervene all of the time, and he'd be in everyone's life, and he'd send angels here and there, and all, like, that wouldn't work, right? The system wouldn't work for us to learn cause and effect. The more you intervene as a government, right? If God is our government and he's our king and our whatever, then him intervening continuously in our lives makes it so that we never learn. That's also why I believe in libertarianism and why there shouldn't be any socialism or big government. They should only intervene in order to protect us when necessary, right? From the tyranny of other people. So if someone attacks me, then there should be a police there to stop that person from attacking me, or someone that I can report to so that the law can handle what happened, right? But other than that, there should not be any intervention from anyone else, because it limits our free agency, it limits our freedom. And if we don't have freedom, then how will we ever learn? And I believe in women. Women should be free and men should be free to do whatever it is that they want, as long as they don't infringe upon other people's freedom. It's critical to understand that. And from what I've seen, there is no religion on planet Earth that teaches this, that teaches that women are not accountable, and they should and they naturally gravitate towards responsibility naturally, all on its own. You don't even have to encourage it. It's kind of like my daughter. If she's unburdened, guess what? She wants to help out with making food. She wants to help out with with cleaning, or whenever I ask her to do something, she wants to do it happily. She doesn't even, she's not grumpy about it. The only time she might be grumpy about it is because I've burdened her with tons of responsibilities, or we haven't paid them, enough attention to them one day, or whatever it is. But if she's in an environment where she's continuously fueled with joy and happiness, then she naturally gravitates towards responsibility and does the things that her emotions tell her to do. And if we love her so much, then she will love us tons back, and she'll naturally want to do what we ask her to do. That's how children work. That's how everyone works, really, right? If someone's nice to you, you want to be nice back. Why wouldn't you? Because you care as a woman, right? If you so that's how women work. They're not able to not care, and because of that, they don't have the same accountability as men do. And that's why I left my religion, which was yeah. So let's see. Another one is, you mentioned all women are shallow. Could you maybe explain why you said that, so I can maybe understand what you meant by it? Okay, I mentioned in a video that all women are shallow, just helping men understand that it's critical for them to develop riches. It's critical for them to develop their capacity to create a luxurious environment for their women. I believe in three girls in love, responsible polygyny. I don't believe in monogamy at all. Monogamy sucks. But from a man's perspective, okay, when I say monogamy sucks, like, women are like, no, not at all, blah blah blah, is because they only want to be with one man. And that's good, because women are naturally monogamous towards the opposite gender, and that's how it's supposed to be. That's nature. So I understand women when they say that, oh, how can you say that, and blah blah blah, and it's not true. And I believe in true love, and yes, it's true. Like, yes, there is true love, and you can have it, and you can even be in love forever, even though the mainstream are telling you that no, you will actually fall out of love in a few years' time after you've been married, and marriage requires a lot of work, and blah 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 blah. So anyway, I don't believe in that. I believe in true love. I believe that you can be in love continuously, consistently for the rest of your life in one man. And the only way to make that happen is through responsible polygyny, because women need men who have options. Now, of course, it would be, some women believe that it's enough that he has that he's rich and famous, because if he's rich and famous, then tons of women will gravitate towards him. And but the problem is that he's exclusive with you, yet the more masculine he is, the more he's polygynous by nature, which means that the probability that he cheats increases dramatically unless he's religious and actually chooses unless he completely limits his emotional needs. But if you want to create a relationship where both the man receives his emotional needs met, the women massively receive their emotional needs met, Three Girls in Love, and children to receive their emotional needs met, responsible polygyny with only 3 women is the only way I see that being possible. So how are women shallow? They're shallow in the sense that they're now creatures. Okay, so whenever they enter into a different now, their emotions might be different, right? They're dictated by their environment. So if a man is doing something that's correct and he's putting her in a correct environment, then she will respond accordingly, depending upon what her past experiences have been. Because her past experiences are part of her memory. So the emotions and the wires are going to be different for every woman, but every woman is a woman and they're all the same, except they're unique in their past experiences and unique in their own way, right? I mean, women are beautiful and amazing in their own unique, special princess way, but women are still all the same. And just like men are all the same, right? And we just have to understand their psyche and understand their past and understand their emotional makeup and what's going on. Because if you understand what's going on, then you know what's going on. But for women, it's they're now creatures, and it's very often shallow because of that, right? So if you're in love with someone, but you're living in monogamy and you notice that he's not as high value as you thought he was, and then you're kind of like, I'm not in the right environment anymore. And I don't like this environment, and I don't like the fact that I don't like him. So I'm going to be looking out for everyone else. And that's what happens in monogamy, by the way. And women feel so bad. They feel so guilty and so ashamed that they look at other people than their guy because they're not interested in this guy because he's a needy bastard, right? That's what happens in monogamy because it doesn't fulfill the man emotionally at all. So he's going to be looking elsewhere, and he's not, his makeup, his mental capacity is not the same as a woman's in terms of monogamy and polygyny. Men are wired differently. And if a man says that he's, no, I'm fully monogamous and I'm going to be there for you and you're my only one, and he has one-itis, that means that he's feminine. And the more feminine he is, the less you're going to be really attracted to him. And yeah, that's how monogamy works. I was saying that, okay, so that's what shallow is. If you have questions, you got to ask now, because there's no other way to know. Let's see. Do you think it's a bad idea to experiment with girls that you're attracted to? Right. Okay. So I say that naturally women are bisexual. Some women get really upset by that statement. I believe, yes, that women are naturally bisexual when they're feminine. The more masculine they become, the more they move away from their nature, which means that they become halfway polygynous or polyandrous because they're women, right? And in the sense that they want to have multiple partners. And that's what their emotions are telling them because they're masculine and they've developed their hormones in such a way that the testosterone has taken over their behavior and what they need in their environment in order to fulfill those emotions. So it becomes really weird. They become a hybrid of masculinity and femininity. And that's when the danger comes. And that creates issues for society. Polyamory is a really, really bad idea. Polyamory means many loves. And it's a bad idea in the sense of women having massively amounts of other partners. No, it's one man, 2 women. That's it for life. Okay. And creating depth in those relationships and not having shallow relationships for the rest of your life. Because the more shallow your relationships are, the less you feel protected, the less you feel provided for, and the less you're going to receive nurturing. for the rest of your life. And if you're not being nurtured, you don't have capacity to nurture anyone else but yourself. And nurturing yourself sucks as a woman. Um, so yeah, that's what I was sharing about. Yes, but bisexuality. So is it a bad idea to experiment with girls that you're attracted to? I believe that it's a very, very, very bad idea to experiment with girls. No experimentation. Experimentation, especially when it comes to romantic emotions and feelings, understand that you're connecting yourself to them mentally, physically, and in many different ways when you're starting that path. Don't do it. Okay, when I say that you're naturally bisexual, I'm not saying go out there and practice your bisexuality. I'm saying that in a committed family relationship where you have a man, when you have two other women, that's when it can work. That's when actually you can create fullness of fulfillment for the rest of your life. But experimenting with girls before that is a recipe for disaster, and it's going to create huge mess. So I do not recommend that at all. Even if it's your best friend, even if it's a stranger, doesn't matter. It's probably even worse if it's your best friend, because maybe that relationship will, you'll lose it if you try it. And that's very often why women don't admit their bisexuality, because they're afraid that they're going to lose the people that they love. So yeah, let's see. So if you don't desire to be sexual with other girls, does that mean that you're masculine in your opinion? And I would say absolutely yes. The more unburdened you are, the less you have to think about responsibilities and issues and provision and providing for yourself and protecting yourself, blah, blah, blah. The more you'll be intrigued, right? And women are more sexually fluid than men are. Men just want feminine women that are beautiful, and that's pretty much it. Women are kind of like, I love being with a man. This is majority of women, like 80 to 95% of women, 90% of women, or let's say 80% of women want to be with a man, but they still have these emotions of, I'd love to be nurtured by someone. I'd love to receive massages. I love to, receive touch, blah, 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 from femininity, from something soft, from blah, blah, blah. Did you understand what I mean? Like when women talk about, I wish a man was more soft. I wish a man would do this differently when we're having sex. I wish that a man would do that, the other, blah, blah, blah. They're basically explaining that I wish I had a woman, but they don't know that. And they might even say that I'm not bisexual and I don't want to be intimate with another woman. So it's the hybrid working here. They want the softness, they want the femininity in that love relationship, but they've got a man who doesn't really know what to do, how to do it, and he doesn't really know the what a woman wants, really. And also the woman is fluid in the sense that she also wants to be ravaged and taken, and that's the man's job, right? And that's how men are wired, and that's why they do what they do. But women are wired differently, and they want the softness, they want the things to take a long time, the prelude and afterlude and blah blah blah. So anyway, yes, I believe that if you don't desire sensuality with other women, then yeah, of course you're being masculine because you're not bisexual. Yes. So, in your opinion, there's a correlation between feminine men and men that have colored hair, long hair, tattoos, piercings, jewelry. Absolutely. You can know for a fact that a man who has piercings, jewelry, tattoos, long hair, colored hair, all of that stuff, he's feminine, okay? And if he's somewhat masculine and you see that he has masculine features, he's still feminine because he cares about what other people think. Now, of course, there are men out there who don't care about what other men think, or that don't care about what other people think at all, and they just do their thing, but they're hybrids, right? If you still do tattoos, like, why are you doing that? Well, why isn't the creation enough? Like, and why don't you just build up your muscles, right, to develop more masculine features? That's what's normal. Like, why would you need tattoos? Why would you need jewelry? Why would you need piercings? And like, it's signs of emotional inconsistency. It's signs of issues from the past. Why does he want to hurt himself if he's got tattoos or piercings? Just like women, it's a sign of masculinity that they get tattoos. It's a sign that she's been penetrated many times by other things or by other people. If she has tattoos, don't get tattoos, right? And there's ways to remove that these days, and it's gonna prevent you from being with a high value masculine man in the future. Um, in my opinion, men don't like women with tattoos. Masculine men don't, because men would rather have virgins, to be honest. But they're afraid to say so. Let's see. Let's see. Also wondering, have you tried? Okay. And if men love guns, would that be considered feminine? Because violence would always be considered as feminine, in your opinion, right? So this one is interesting one. I really like that you shared this one. Whoever commented this, I believe that guns is masculine. Okay, if you see kids running around, you'll see the girls playing with dolls. That's normal, and they naturally gravitate towards it as long as you put it in the environment. Girls will always choose the girl toys because she's a girl. Now she's very in a burdened environment and she's developing weird hormones going on in her brain. She might lean towards the boy toys, but that's because of her hormones and that's because of what's going on in her body that she wants the boy stuff. But majority of the time, the closer to the birth, the more feminine that girl child will be, and she'll pick the things that are more feminine based. But boys, they have more masculinity in them, so they naturally gravitate towards, you guessed it, guns and violence and fighting, etc., etc. That's what boys do. If you've never seen children, look at them, observe the world, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Guns is masculine. Guns is fantastic for men that are masculine. Why? Because they need to protect. If someone invades you, if someone wants to rape his women, or if someone comes with a gun and he has to be in survival mode, he becomes immediately feminine if he doesn't have the power and the ability to overpower that man who has more power than him because he's got a gun. So for a man to not have a gun is feminine, in my opinion, and we should always protect the Second Amendment so that men are able to provide and protect women at all costs. Men will protect women and children at all costs. Now, should feminine men carry guns? Now, that's a different story. So how do you know who's feminine, who's masculine, and who's emotionally consistent and who's not? That's a problem, right? But I'd rather have guns available for those that go through the necessary screening tests and no track records of criminality, etc., etc. I'd rather have masculine men have guns. I'm sharing my political views. I lose subscribers from it. I don't care. I'm sharing the truth. I want the truth to come out there and how things really are. And that's what you're always going to get from my channel, is how things truly are. And guns are necessary for men if they want to be masculine. Is it illegal in your country? Then figure out a way to get around it eventually. Is it a priority? I don't think it's a very big priority. I would prioritize emotional consistency and working, if you're not wealthy and rich as a man, prior to you developing your ability to protect and provide, protect in the sense of big muscles and you've got guns and martial arts and stuff like that. However, if you want to become a male god as a man, you need to know all of those things so that your women and your children can always feel safe. So, and then there was another question here. I was also wondering, have you already tried to bring other girls into your family structure? If so, how was it? Okay, so we discovered and hardcore understood Three Girls in Love, Responsible Polygyny, in late 2014. That's when we basically kind of cracked the system. We didn't know that it was 3 girls. We just knew that monogamy sucks and it's never going to work in order to create the world and society and heaven on earth that is necessary for us to create. And so we started the search immediately. And we had some girls that we were interested in, and And we also found this one girl. I'm not going to go into the depths of the details and stuff like that, but yes, we did have one girl come into our family. She wanted to be with our family, and it lasted about 3 months. We had some great experiences from it, and also some horrific experiences from it because we had no idea what we were doing. I had no idea what I was doing at that time. And in many ways, I think it was necessary for me to go through that experience in order for me to understand the woman even better. And we've gone through again and again and again what happened, why it didn't work out, and I'm glad it didn't work out because it probably would have caused a lot of problems, because of her past and also our issues and whatever. So I like, people complain, oh bro, you're monogamous, you only have one woman, how can you say that responsible polygyny is the only way and blah blah blah. Well, I understand it, and we know the theory is absolutely amazing, and it completely fits rationally and logically with everything. Now, it doesn't very often fit with women's emotional makeup because that's not how they've grown up, but it's very natural. Like, our kids are completely like, yeah, of course, three girls in love. Yeah, of course, I need to have three mothers. Yeah, of course. Like, for them, it's completely of course. Well, yeah, of course, they're kids. They accept everything you tell them. Yeah, but there's truth is natural, truth is inherent. They like, the more they grow up, like, they'll grow up and then they'll be like, huh, does it work, does it not work, and they'll experience life for themselves, and they'll be free to choose whatever they want to do. But from my perspective, the theory is absolutely amazing. There are people who practice three girls in love, but not the way that we talk about it. I believe there might be some people out there who do, but this is a discovery that very few people know about. And it is a discovery. This is not something that we just created a system, in my opinion. This is something that's a principle. And since it's a principle, it works consistently for everyone that tries it, for everyone that wants to work it. It does require work. It does require a reframing of an unschooling of our brain, because we've been, growing up with Disney and growing up with monogamy and growing up with whatever, to the point where you know we're here today. But yeah, what was I saying was basically I needed to learn the things that I needed to learn from that one relationship we had in early 2015. Ever since then, we decided, nope, we got to get our foundation set up. We got to get our financial foundation set up. Our kids need to grow up a little bit so that they don't become a burden for the women coming into our lives, making it more tricky. We understand that there's going to be a transition phase, right? In the sense of, in a perfect three girls in love society, it will be fathers who give their hands over to a trustworthy man who's wealthy already and who set up his life in such a way as to create an amazing three girls in love relationship and family for the rest of his life. Fathers will be very important in the selection of that guy, not in terms of arranged marriage, but in terms of supporting their daughters to make the right choice and creating a short list. And when I say a short list, it could be 300 guys, right? But the point is that he is part of the process because he wants to protect her. I believe that what fathers are doing in today's society, putting their daughters in school, public school, putting their daughters in front of other guys, allowing them to go to prom, allowing them to do all that type of stuff. Yeah, I mean, great, prom is amazing and fantastic, but they're 18 years old, okay? Like, I'm saying that they're not really protecting their daughters below the age of 18 if they're allowing their daughters to be with boys that are feminine. Because if the boys are feminine, then they're going to continuously stretch the limits of what they're able to do with that girl. And they're going to get that girl emotionally involved. And the more emotionally involved the girl is with the guy, and especially if he's a bad guy who has no idea what he's doing in terms of female retention, right? Retaining women so that he can create a family for the long term, it's a really bad idea, because that's going to create burdens for the girl. That's going to create a notch count for the girl. She's going to have a sexual relationship with that man. Most probably this happens around 15, 16, 17 years old. Girls get involved with boys. Bad idea, because it's going to affect her for the rest of her life, right? unless she hits the reset button. And the reset button, in my opinion, is Three Girls in Love. If a girl gets dumped by a guy and then gets married, she will forever go back to remember about that guy that she loved the most, though she was rejected by, because she's not able to not care. And that's going to be basically the reason why this home is kind of wrecked. Okay, so the guy, the boy, teenage boy, or whatever guy is with a girl and then dumps her, whether it's in her teenage years or in her 20s, whatever, she's going to continuously think about that guy forever if she's in monogamy. And there's serial monogamy, and she will probably fall in love with the new guy, but then she'll always, in that relationship, return back to who she's really pining for. And that's a problem. And maybe she finds another guy that she falls in love with, but it's never gonna, like, very often it doesn't work out unless she commits to it. But that means that she has to be disciplined and force herself into certain behaviors instead of being emotionally free. We want women to be free emotionally and to do what they want to do when they want to do it and not have to think about the past. Why would you want to think about the past? Right? You connect sexuality with your life, okay? Just in the sense of understanding the allegory. Because in sexuality, okay, hopefully you're a virgin, but if you're not, you'll understand what I'm talking about. In terms of when you're having sex with a guy, you might have issues letting go. You might have issues because you're thinking, you're in your head, right? And very often, in order for you to get the pleasure and the experience that you want from it, you have to let go. You have to submit. You have to, uh, get in your body instead of being in your head, right? So if the man knows what he's doing in the bedroom, he'll be able to bring you into the now so that you can experience, joy and happiness and pleasure in that moment, right? Hopefully it's a good guy who you're with for the rest of your life, or else it's going to suck, because you don't want to have good sex with the guy that's not going to stick around for the long term. That's what creates pining. You don't want to be in that position because that's going to create heartache for the rest of your life, perhaps. So you want to be in a position where, so if you connect that to your own life and you look at, okay, as a woman, do I want to be continuously in my head? No, it's a bad idea, because nature has it in such a way that you should be in your emotions, and your emotions should dictate what you do at any given time, because your emotions tell the truth. If there's anything I want to achieve with my channel, is allowing women to speak the truth. But she only needs to speak the truth to people that she can trust, because if she speaks the truth of what's actually going on in her head, then people are going to be afraid of her, and people are going to freak out, and people are going, oh, you got to control yourself, and blah, 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 blah. That's why it's critical to get a man who understands female nature and understands that what you say is not necessarily what you believe. It's just the emotions that you have and the psyche that you have about this current situation. And it's okay that you have those feelings. You have to, I want to help you to understand that it's okay. It's wonderful. You're a good person. You're not accountable for the thoughts and feelings that you have. You might be accountable to the outside world for the actions you take, obviously, right? You'll be held according to the law in the same way that men are, hopefully, these days. However, it's because of the environment that you've been put in. It's because of the environment that you have in your life. So in order for you to change the thoughts, you've got to change the environment. And the best way to change the environment is to be around positive people, be around loving, kind people. But at the same time, you're always going to be offended unless we create a system whereby the offense happens a lot less than it does today. How about we reduce the offenses and the issues of life by 95% through Three Girls in Love Responsible Polygyny, because it solves so many of the problems that you're going through today unnecessarily. So that's how we're creating heaven on earth. I've spoken a lot. Obviously, no one's speaking back, and that's okay. But the last thing I'll mention, there's a quick question here. Do you maybe know how to overcome associating porn images with arousal or feeling aroused, and then imagining things you used to watch, and how to stop seeing intimacy in a perverted way and see it in a pure and beautiful way. Do you think time is the only thing that will help, or do you maybe know how else you could try to erase all the adult content I used to watch when I was younger? So this is a crucial aspect of, again, Three Girls in Love, because the more, I kind of explained it, the more you're in your head, the more you will think about the past or the future. And if you're in your head, then you're creating issues in the now, right? Because very often, if you have negativity or stuff that you don't want in your head, both from a regret standpoint and both from a fear standpoint of the future, you're being masculine, and it's not your fault, but it's not helping you be feminine, right? So how do you return back to femininity? That's really your question, because masculinity is going to never allow you to be in the now. Masculinity for a woman puts you in the past, and it makes you believe your past is going to be your future forever. Like that, what happened in your past, it's always going to be with you. You can never change it, and blah, 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 blah. That's because you're a now creature and you accentuate the past. You're making it huge. And because of that, it's making you depressed, right? Understand, this is female psyche. Or since you're a now creature, you make the future accentuated in sense of negativity if you're masculine. And so your future becomes so big, and it's like, oh, my future is going to be absolutely horrible, and that's going to affect your now. Understand that the only thing you have is the now, right? Women are to enjoy the now, and men are the ones who make the now exponentially better. If you are trying to fix the now by improving, like in terms of, I need to be disciplined and focused and do the masculine way of achieving my goals and blah, 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 you're ruining your now, but you're also ruining your future nows, because the more masculine you become, the more issues and problems you're going to have in your life. The goal is to reduce the amount of problems and the issues you have as a woman in your life, so that you can be more emotionally consistent, but emotionally consistent in terms of happiness. So I'm solving the porn issue here. Understand that this is all connected. The more feminine you become, the more you enter into the now, which means that the past becomes completely irrelevant and the future becomes completely irrelevant. That's a good thing if you're protected and provided for by a high value man. If you're in the world by yourself, no one's protecting you, no one's providing for you, and you've got to think about the past, present, and future and all that stuff yourself, the more masculine you become. Sucky situation. The more feminine you are, the better your sexuality is going to be, because you're in the now. You're you're enjoying the present, because there's nothing in the past that's a problem, because you're having enjoyable sex with your long-term lifetime partner. So you know that the past is not a problem, and you don't care about the past because you're enjoying the now. Does that make sense? And your now is accentuated, instead of having your negative past or your negative future accentuated. Because you're feminine, your now is being accentuated, which means that you give immediate feedback that you enjoy what's happening right now. So you're stating the truth. No more faking. You won't fake it ever again if you enter into your femininity of sharing your emotions. But it's dangerous to share your emotions in a place where you're going to be rejected for it. You want to share your emotions and be free to share your emotions in a place where you're protected. I know this is becoming a massively long video, but I believe I've shared some very critical things in this video. And this is probably the most important thing. You know, good on you if you've managed to be here for this long. But you're in the now, you're immersed by the now, the now is accentuated, and that's where you find the greatest bliss, the greatest joy, the greatest happiness. And could you imagine being in that pleasure situation with the committed, loyal, trustworthy man of high value who wants to remain in this relationship because it's working? Okay, it fulfills him and it fulfills you, and it will fulfill the children because the parents are loving each other, right? The future is a positive thing when you're not when you're not intensely in the now. Then the future becomes fantastic. Then it's like, oh, I'm excited for the future. I'm bubbling over because of the future, because of those amazing emotions I've had in the past. And those emotions will be with me in the future because I've got stability, because I've got the relationships that I desire, and I'm enjoying my life. This is how you get women to emotional consistency in terms of having 10 continuously and consistently. So instead of having 4 and 6 in terms of 1 to 10 happy ratio, okay, scale, instead of having the ups and downs of being emotionally inconsistent as a woman in the world, you'll be in responsible polygyny and 3 girls in love. You'll be nurtured and you'll be nurturing and you'll be doing good to other people. So good keeps being returned to you with karma in such a way that your past is amazing because you've created depth with these relationships. Your now is amazing because you can choose whatever it is that you want to do with these people that you love. And then you've got the future ahead of you, and the future always becomes better because your man is becoming more and more wealthy by the day because he has capacity and motivation to go out and create that luxurious living. And you are happy and never alone because you enjoy being with your BFFs continuously. This is called the reset button, which means that if you've got problems from your past, problems of fears of the future and issues and burdens and masculinity, understand that your ultimate feminine potential will never be reached with this kind of worldwide one-on-one monogamy as they preach. Responsible polygyny, when 3 girls in love, will bring you to the now, and exponentially pleasurable and happy now, because the man takes the blame, and that's how he creates the harmony in the relationship, because they have a common enemy but also a common lover, which makes it fantastic. And if he does take the blame and there is harmony, trust me, you're going to have the reset button, and that's going to clear all of the history, all of the baggage. But it's very wise to get, the baggage off your chest and everything off your chest before you start that kind of relationship. But you can do that, with the coaching relationship here, but also simply, being ready for that 3 girls in love, responsible polygyny, high value, trustworthy, loyal man who will get his stamp of approval from the Men of High Value channel, from the Men of High Value movement, and not just from me, but from the council of the Men of High Value, that he is loyal, he's trustworthy, he's legit. And if you know that, and you're with your BFFs who desire that type of relationship, amazing things are going to happen. Heaven on earth. That's my opinion. And I'm fired up, excited about it. I hope you are too. So comment down below with more questions. I love these questions. And I'll see you in the next video.